Hello, my name is Mike Haugley. I serve at Great Plains Lutheran as the athletic director. The purpose of this video is to share information to the general public about what they can expect for activities at GPL this fall. But before I get into the details, let me just say how tremendously wonderful it is to be living in South Dakota during this time. To be in a state that did not experience significant COVID outbreaks, and to be in a state that allows us to make decisions at a local level in regards to school and activities. And it's a tremendous blessing that we're going to be able to start the school year in person and to be able to have our fall activities happening as normally as possible, with obviously a few tweaks. This video is going to be breaking down the details of a document that highlights our expectations and policies for activities this fall. And that document can be found at our school website. Go to GPLHS.org, and at the top you will see a red banner with the title COVID Spectator Policy. I'm going to be referring to that several times in this video, and I would encourage you to go and look at that on your own time, but I'm going to break down the details of what to expect here with this video. I would like to start by introducing the different tiers that have been adopted by our state and by our conference, and you will hear these tiers referred to throughout the video here and throughout the fall, especially if things need to change. So you can see the 4 tiers, and the first one, we would welcome any spectators to our events. If the situation calls for reducing the number of people at an event, then we would venture into tiers 2 through 4. And you can see them there. So tier 2, we would welcome parents and students. In tier 3, we would reduce that to just the parents. And if it needed to get to tier 4, we would hold the event without spectators. It is our intent that we start the school year in tier 1, and Lord willing, we will stay in tier 1 throughout the fall. If that needs to be changed, we will do so on that document. Again, that's going to be on our school website, and we would also get that word out as quickly and to as many avenues as we can so that people understand whether or not they can come to our events. I'd also like to take a moment here to just put a plug in for our live streaming services on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in our school in the search bar, and you'll get to the live events, and you'll also get to previous events. That's going to be a feature that is maybe more pertinent, more valuable than ever this year, especially if people either choose not to come to an event or simply cannot get to an event because of these restrictions. So please be reminded that all of our home events, both in the gym and at the football field, are live streamed. So if we need to get into tier 2 or 3 levels with different games, how are we going to know who the parents are and who the students are? Well, students, that's easy. You have your student IDs for many different reasons, but this is also going to be another use for your IDs. Your ID would get you into the game and identify you as a student here, and so that would be your pass, if you will. It would not get you in for free, especially at road games, obviously, but it would identify you as a student and would allow you to get into the games if you so desired. Parents, you don't have school IDs, so instead what we've decided to do is make parent passes that we will distribute to each family. We've made 2 passes to identify you as parents, and you can take them with you in your purse or wallet. And again, that wouldn't get you into a road game for free, but it would identify you as a parent and would allow you access to those games. They're going to be printed on yellow paper, and you will receive them. Again, we'll try to do that in person if we see you here early, and maybe in move-in weekend or something like that. If we don't see you, we will mail them to you so that you have them. So when it comes to home events, this is what we're expecting from all of our spectators. We'll start with some general, and then we'll get into some specifics when it comes to home events at our facility in the gym versus outdoor events. So our general expectations of all of our spectators is to monitor their own health. This could include taking your own temperature on a regular basis, but also just seeing if other COVID symptoms are showing up, especially unexplained symptoms. That's the verbiage that the CDC is using right now. If you are sick, simply don't come to our events. That's our expectation, and that's our plea. And that could be COVID related, or it could be other sicknesses. We're trying to keep our doors open, and we're trying to stay in person with our learning and our activities. And so that would be very much appreciated. Again, please use our live streaming services if you cannot physically be here. But if you do come here, we would expect and ask that all spectators practice proper hygiene. Aside from social distancing, the CDC is saying the next best thing we can do is adequately and properly wash our hands, and that would be perhaps one example in this section. So when it comes to activities in our building, specifically here in the fall, this is primarily be volleyball games. We are asking all spectators to wear masks. We understand that that might be slightly different than what other area public schools are doing, but the big difference that we feel strongly about this is our dorm. And we'd ask all of our spectators to understand that about half of our students live here on campus full-time in our dormitory. And again, we're trying to do everything we can to keep our students healthy and to allow for our day-to-day learning operations to be done in person. And we feel that masks would go a long way in accomplishing that goal. So please, out of love for our students and for everyone involved with indoor activities, we're asking face coverings to be worn. When it comes to outdoor activities, that's slightly different. Face coverings would certainly be allowed, but they're not going to be required because of the nature of events being outdoors. So primarily here we're talking about football games at the Watertown Stadium, where we can socially distance with ample seating. It could also include going to a cross-country meet where you're out, usually on a golf course, again, with ample space to be socially distanced. So those are our expectations of our home games for all of our spectators, and we would encourage compliance with those as we go throughout our fall season. When it comes to away events, I want the GPL people to be very aware that the host school for each event determines what tier the event will be held as well as any other guidelines or regulations. So when it comes to GPL road events, we are very much out of control of what happens. Being that rules might change from night to night, we wanted to make sure there was a way that we could communicate what the expectations are for all of those road events, and we wanted to do it in a very centrally located way. And so what we decided to do was at the back end of this document that you can find on our website, under the away game section, we have our entire fall schedule listed out there for you to see. When information becomes available to us, we will add to that document. So this will be a living document that will be growing on a pretty regular basis. It is my goal to communicate with the athletic directors of the places we will be going to so that I can get that information out to you at least 2 days in advance. I want it to be something that you can see and make your plans, but obviously we can't go too far into the future because of the fluidity of the situation. So it is my goal that if we have a volleyball game on Thursday, that on Tuesday you could go and see this information and start to make your plans. If I don't receive any information from a school, obviously I can't put it on there, but I will do my best to make sure that we can get that information to you in a timely fashion, so that there's no confusion or miscommunication on those away events. So please be checking back regularly with that document. Again, you can find that at the top of our website in red. When you come to our events, you might realize that how we conduct those games and contests might look slightly different. The state has sent out mandatory rule tweaks and changes, as well as some optional ones, all with the intent of trying to keep our students as safe as possible. Again, these are minor tweaks, and I feel very confident that we'll be able to administer them in a very efficient manner. and it will add some level of protection to our events that we host here and our road games as well. And so just understand that it might look slightly different. And with all of those different adaptations, student health is the number one priority. I also just wanted to highlight here a couple of other policy changes that we have implemented here at GPL that are not sport specific, but kind of more generalized. When we do go on road trips, the student athletes will be assigned seating. This is primarily done so that we can use it to identify close contacts if a COVID situation does occur. If it's random seating, we don't know necessarily who was sitting next to each other. It also allows us to maximize our bus space to give kids a little bit of separation, but again, depending on the number of athletes involved in the contest, we may not be able to give them adequate space, the 6 feet that the CDC is recommending. But assigned seating is going to happen to try to make things as easy as possible. After buses or vans are used for road trips, we will be sanitizing and cleaning them. We'll also be cleaning the locker rooms in a much more judicious manner, in a much more timely manner, especially the road team locker rooms, so that we make sure that the locker rooms are clean for all of our people involved. And one other thing that our head coaches thought was really important was how were we going to keep our athletes hydrated while not inadequately doing things where COVID could be spread. And so investing in some extra water bottles so that each student involved in sports can have their own marked water bottle and there's no community water bottles or anything is something that we've been doing. And while I'm thinking of our head coaches, I just want to give them a shout out of really fond appreciation for the time and effort they put into not just preparing for the fall season, but doing it in thinking of the different ways that they can keep our student athletes safe while still enjoying their activities. So I'm very appreciative of our head coaches and the time they put into that. Finally, just wanted to express that we are going to continue to make adjustments as is necessary. I've used this analogy with people that I've talked to in person this summer that it feels like we're trying to hit a moving target. The recommendations have been adjusting almost on a weekly basis as more information has come out from whether it's the CDC or the State Department of Health. It is our intent that we will continue to follow our regulations and encouragements that we receive from them, and as things change, we will make adequate changes as necessary. Again, the word we've been using around school here is what's practical. What can we practically do in order to keep our students as safe as possible? Obviously, the ultimate goal is that we can continue to stay in person with our learning and that our activities can continue on, and we don't see what we saw last year with the cancellation of even a whole season or even a portion of the season. We want to give our kids opportunities as long as things stay safe. So understand that what's being presented here at the beginning of the school year might need to be adjusted, and if that's the case, we will be communicating that with you as well. So finally, I ask that you continue to keep GPL in your prayers. Pray for our student body, pray for our faculty and our staff that we can have health and that we can stay in person. Pray for us that we can continue to make wise, discerning decisions when it comes to all these different extra aspects of the school year this year. And most importantly, pray for our school and our ministry. It's a wonderful year. We're celebrating 25 years as a school, and it's a wonderful milestone. We're starting to see the building expansion start to happen here with earth being moved in the next couple of days, and you'll start to see footings being poured very shortly. So it's an exciting time. It's also a time of a little bit of uncertainty, but hopefully this video was useful in getting some of this information out. I would encourage you to pass this along to others who are looking for information. We're trying to get this stuff out to our people before our home events get started here, which we'll see that the schedule has home events very, very shortly. So hopefully, again, this was useful, and God's blessings to you, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you all at the games as it allows.